everybody, and welcome to Awesome Comics, your one-stop shop for everything comic book entertainment. Guess what we're doing today, guys? The top 10 episodes of Batman, the animated series. You guys have been requesting it for a long time, and we're finally going to go into that. Before we go into the top 10 episodes, though, I want to remind you guys to like the Facebook page, facebook.com/awesomecomicshow. Every Thursday, we have exclusive videos going up on there. A lot of stuff recently, so go back and check all that out. Okay. To talk about the top 10 episodes of Batman the Animated Series, we have two regular people that are on the show, but they're great people, they're great folks, they're great analyzers. They're going to analyze these episodes. We'll go with you first. What's your name?
Porter. What's up?
Porter, Brian. Brian Porter. That's his name. Fantastic. And you?
Ayana Wade. And yes, contrary to popular belief, I did make it out of that chair from last week. I am alive. I'm fine.
They took the fire department.
Right.
Jaws of life.
Yeah.
Superman actually had to come off the ride and come help me out. Yeah, fine.
Yeah. Six Flag trip was pretty fun.
Terrifying.
A little terrifying, too. Okay, so we're going to be talking about spoilers for all these episodes, and there's a couple twists in these episodes that you probably won't want to know about if you haven't seen it. So as we're going through these, stop and watch the episodes and come back if you haven't seen them, because I think you'll benefit more from that. So here we go.
We're going to be in like every season too, so we're not
we're
doing
jumping.
like
This is the whole
1 to
series,
2 to
1
3
through
to
4.
4. So we're going to be all over the place.
All over the place.
Yep.
These are the top 10 episodes of the whole series. Here we go with number 10.
Mad Love. Harley Quinn tries to impress her love while the origin of her career as the Joker's sidekick is revealed. It's based on the one-shot comic by Dini and Tim.
Tell us a little about Mad Love. Why do you like it so much?
All right, well, the opening of the episode is Gordon having to go in for a dentist appointment, and I love how he's like, oh, I hate these appointments, and then we find out his dentist is actually the Joker. And I love that because Mark Hamill being able to say, may the floss be with you.
Yes, I thought that too.
It's like one of the greatest things, just being like, thank you for that.
Yes, yeah, it was a good episode for sure. And this is the first time we see on screen sort of the origin of Harley. So Harleen Quinzel, we see her as the psychologist or the therapist, whatever, at Arkham Asylum, and her interactions with the Joker, the first kind, and you can see how she fell into it. It's
and how
pretty
she didn't
awesome.
start out just like a pure human, you know, like she went in with like her own intentions
Definitely.
of being able to like make it big with like the inside scoop and
the
stuff.
tell-all book kind of.
Exactly. So she was no angel to start with.
She wasn't.
And she chose this path for her life.
Exactly.
There's some really great quotes in this episode among like, don't you want to rev up your Harley?
Yeah.
And like this is a really good quotable episode. I love it. And that's the death of 100 Smiles with the piranhas.
Yeah.
And you get to see how Joker wants Batman dead, but he wants to be able to kill Batman. He doesn't want anyone else to have that glory.
Exactly.
One of the creepier things in this is Batman's laugh, which if you saw Killing Joke, we talked about Killing Joke a little bit, his laugh in that. That's not really a spoiler if you've read the comic, but
No. He laughs.
Killing
It's
Joke
creepy.
laugh. His laugh
It's
is
creepy in this.
It's creepy to see Batman laughing.
Ever,
Yeah.
It's just not normal.
Yeah, it is very weird.
Specifically just in the cowl. Maybe Bruce Wayne, but Batman,
Yeah, it is a little weird.
yeah.
But yeah, Mad Love's great. It's based off the book, like we said, which is right here. This is one of the picks of the week. Go ahead and check this out. It's more detailed than the episode. It's got some really good stuff in it, so go look at that. All right, moving on to number 9. His Silicon Soul. So Hardak, his robot replica of Bruce Wayne, wanders around believing itself to be the real Batman. This is a sequel to Heart of Steel, parts 1 and 2. His Silicon Soul is really cool. This is one of the most memorable episodes. I remember this one as a kid. Like in the Heart of Steel episode, they're called replicants that Hardak makes. Hardak is this giant computer, this evil giant computer, which is very, like Superman 30s, 40s kind of thing. But it's really cool. He like makes replicants of people, so it's kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Except at the end of that episode, you see that there's a Bruce Wayne replicant made, and we don't know what happens to him until this episode. So he's wandering around, and he thinks he's Batman. He thinks he's Bruce Wayne until he gets wounded in the stomach area and has robot parts, and he's very confused. Eventually, he finds out who he is. Hardak sort of downloads himself into that version of Bruce Wayne, and it's sort of a nature versus nurture thing, because Hardak made this version of Batman, this Bruce Wayne, so accurate to the real Bruce Wayne Batman that he's fighting against the evil of replacing humans with replicants. It's just such a cool back and forth and an inner struggle that's Batman but not Batman.
I like the quote in it too of when he's trying to figure out what's going on. Like why am I a robot? I've like had my brain implanted in a robot.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you're just a
You're
robot.
just a robot.
All you have is memories, information, data, nothing more. Like what's the last time you tasted a really good steak or
Yeah.
like something like that? Like you don't have any feelings. You just have facts, cold hard facts. And I love that. I
Yeah.
love that like moment for him, and I love being able to see Bat versus Bat,
Yeah,
the
that was really
Terminator
cool.
fight.
The red eyes and
Yeah.
everything. That was
Yeah.
really cool. And then at the end, when he kind of sacrifices himself, the
Right,
the
'cause he can't
machine
take a
Batman,
life.
right? He can't take a life.
As
but then
Batman.
he thinks he does. It's very
So he
nuanced
almost
at the end.
creates like
there.
a paradox for himself
Exactly.
of like, I have to do this because these are my internal commands. However, my internal commands are saying I can't take a life as Batman, and so he has
Right.
to destroy the upload. And stuff.
Exactly. And at the end, it's very cool. That little quote. It says, "Is it possible that he had a soul, Alfred? A soul of silicon, but a soul nonetheless."
Name of the episode.
Great quote. Let's move on to number 8. Old Wounds. Dick Grayson reveals to his successor, Tim Drake, the secret of the strained relationships with his mentor Batman and Barbara Gordon. Okay, this is a season 4 episode. This is an episode that sort of ties back to the original first 3 seasons. It shows how Dick Grayson as Robin left Batman and that the whole butting of heads between them. It's really like kind of emotional at some points, and the whole episode is really strong, I think, character-wise. And you sort of get to see how he became Nightwing in a sense and everything.
You
so.
see like a darker side to Batman too
Yeah,
in that. Which
yeah,
is
and that's kind of where
interesting.
Robin starts to separate from him, I think. Any favorite moments from this one that you remember?
Like the
Right.
whole episode is just really emotional. Like,
is.
you know, like
Yeah.
I don't really have any like specific moments that stand out to me.
Right.
But this episode, I just remember like being like when Dick's telling him like you're like, whoa, like his family is here. You can't
yeah.
do this in front of his family.
Right.
I think that's the moment that I was like, oh, Batman. Jeez,
Yeah, I know.
like,
But then
calm
at
down.
the end, you find out that he works for Bruce Wayne now, and Bruce Wayne like always checks up on him. So that was a nice little callback at the beginning of the episode. Also, there is the big reveal from Batman to Barbara Gordon that you know he reveals who he is, that he's Batman, and he reveals that he knew who she was the whole time.
The whole time, yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of is a betrayal to Dick too, because they were dating at that time and everything. So it's very, and then we know what happens later because that's in this continuity with Batman and Batgirl. Ugh, it's still gross to me, but whatever.
We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Okay, moving on to number 7.
Over the edge, Batman and his allies apparently have their secret identities exposed and are now hunted by the police. So in this episode, it's a really good Batgirl episode, so obviously I love it. And this is the one where we get to see like a Bruce versus Gordon, which is really cool because
Yeah.
you can see best friends like at each other's throats. A civil war, if you will. And Batgirl dies in it. But it's revealed at the end, again, spoilers, that it's just her dream.
It's a scarecrow.
Right,
dream.
right.
Yeah.
So it's not actually happening, but it's really cool to see like how the secret of her being Batgirl is just eating away at her. And I like that because she and her father have such like a really good relationship throughout the series, and they're so close. And even though sometimes he like babies her a little bit, she has a really interesting way of handling that, where she's like, "Dad, I get that you have like the best intentions for me, but also it's because I'm Batgirl, so I got this." This one specifically was really weird to rewatch after Killing Joke because she had such a difficult time like being able to like confront Gordon at the end, like after her like fever dream. She actually does go to her dad and try to explain who she is, and he's kind of like, "You don't have to finish that sentence. I know you know what's best." It's
right. He kind
like,
of knows that.
I don't want
he
to
kind of says
this.
like, "I know, but we don't have to. It doesn't have to go said," which is like really cool. But if she has that much trouble telling him that she's Batgirl, imagine what she would have to do when she told him, "Oh, by the way, screwed your best friend."
So weird.
So like this one specifically was very, very weird after Killing Joke.
I agree with you for
Yeah.
sure. But it is a really good alternate take on things. And you don't know what's happening at the beginning of the episode because they're being chased by the police.
I
and
love
everything.
them
It's crazy.
storming the Batcave. Like that,
Yeah,
that's
that
really
whole
awesome. And then just
opening is
getting
great.
chased, like it looked really cool.
Right, and friends fighting each other, great conflict.
It's interesting to see that how much Gordon does know in that one too.
Yeah.
I mean, it
And
is
I kind
in
of
her
like
dreams,
that he knows. I kind
Yeah.
of like that aspect of things, that he kind of at least has a really good idea.
Yeah, he was able to actually be a detective and pick up
Exactly.
some stuff without,
He's
you know,
very
even
smart.
Batman knowing. You know, so that's
Yeah.
really good.
He's like,
It
guys,
is.
I know.
Okay, moving on to number 6.
Joker's wild. When the Joker learns that a casino owner is using his likeness for the theme of his business, he escapes Arkham Asylum to destroy it while unaware of the owner's real motives. I love Joker's Wild because of the beginning and the end, and we get to see them in Arkham and him trying to watch TV and him and Poison Ivy, and then at the end, like them being like, "Hey, no, we were watching that." And there's a little bit of Looney Tunes in there
I know,
too.
he's like whistling the theme song.
Yeah,
It's
I
great.
like the like little bow wrap of the package of this episode that they do at the beginning and the end. But this is a good Joker episode, specifically because we get to see like his motives for stuff and him like trying to blow up the casino and trying to destroy this casino because
stole his face.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later with his face in a couple episodes for now. But he has a brand, and so someone like tried to steal his brand, and his brand is very important to him. That's kind of
Right.
his career. So it's really interesting to see him trying to do this whole thing for the whole episode, and then at the end being like, wait, he wanted this of me? Oh, I don't want to blow it up then. That's frustrating. I'm being used.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Joker is not very, keen on being used, that's for sure.
He's the user, not the used.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to number 5.
Legends of the Dark Knight. Several children give their widely varying opinions of who they think Batman is. This is an awesome episode because of the like callbacks to the Dark Knight and then the 60s Batman, and we get these awesome alternate animation styles in with the regular
really
animation
fun.
styles. Like it's just visually, it's very entertaining, and then just the content of it. I feel like they cover like the Legends of the Dark, or the Dark Knight Returns. I feel like they really grasp that,
Yeah.
not only in the animation but in the style of the storytelling, and also in the very, very campy 60s version,
Right.
and the way that the Joker looks and how they defeat everybody and their dialogue. It's just it really captures that era of Batman, and I think that
And
works
with the
really well.
voiceover actors too,
Yeah.
like using different voice actors for each little like story is really interesting with the animation that they use too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really awesome. I just love the way that they did it.
Right.
And
It
just seeing
shows
it from
the
the kids.
versatility of the show, I would say,
I agree,
too.
totally.
Of being able to have such an iconic figure and you can play around with him for an episode and still it feel like it's still the same show.
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely.
My favorite part of the episode though is that dig at Schumacher. When that
They
guy,
do,
that guy's got that
pretty
like
hard
little,
dig at him.
was it like the pink boa?
Yeah,
or
he has like the pink
scarf
feather
or-
boa.
Yeah.
I love that
That
kid.
was- that
Reminds
was
me of the
so
kid from
funny.
School of Rock. You're tacky and I hate you.
Right? Yeah, it is kind of like that. But yeah, they do take a pretty hard dig at him there. And in the audio commentary for this, they talked about how the Dark Knight Returns portion of this is like the closest you're ever going to see to the screen. But then years later,
Yeah.
they came out with
But
the movie,
wait.
which is one of the best DC animated movies, of course,
Absolutely.
part 1 and 2. Okay, let's move on to number 4.
Shadow of the Bat, Parts 1 and 2. Commissioner James Gordon is arrested for corruption, forcing his daughter, Barbara Gordon, to make a dramatic step to help him. First official appearance of Batgirl in the series. Let's be real, I love this episode. It's a great, great Batgirl episode, and it's the first, episode that we see her origin in, which is really cool. Gordon is arrested at the beginning of part 1, and it's because he's allegedly taking bribes.
Right.
And Barbara is saying, trying to help him and everything, and she says to Batman, you gotta help him. If you just show up, it'll be such a great symbol for the people that you support him and that he's innocent. And he's like, nah, I can't. Sorry, brah. Can't do it. And she's like, oh, okay, well, you'll be there one way or another. And then we get to see her donning the suit, and you can tell right away based on the physicality of the character that it's not Batman. Before you even see that he obviously is bustier than usual.
He's been working on the
A little bit
right.
smaller
You can
and
see
bigger
right
of a
away,
chest.
that's something's fishy about Batman.
Right.
Just the first shot of him, and then the little reveal with the pulling off of the cowl.
Yeah.
You see her
hair.
and oh wait, it's Batgirl, and. There's some Two-Face in this one, and stuff like that. And I like the quote towards the end too. This is in part 2. Yes, we mashed 2 episodes together. Deal with it. But it's at the end of part 2 when she's saving the guy and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know it was you," and Barbara says, "Would it have made a difference?" I love that bit where, as if he knew, like, "Oh, it's Barbara. I'm sorry about that. I just thought it was Batgirl. Excuse me."
Right. And the back and forth between Robin and Batgirl in this too is like little quippy stuff. I love that stuff too.
I like it because it kind of reminds me of the Batman Eternal, the first issue of Batman Eternal from a couple of years back with Scott Snyder. You know, Gordon's arrested, but it's for different reasons. But you know, Batgirl's still like, holy shit, my dad's arrested. I gotta fix this, and she's all crazy and all that. And it's like, I wonder if Snyder got any,
maybe.
ideas
You never
from
know.
this episode.
I love
it could
any
be.
time that Batgirl is around Commissioner Gordon too, as Batgirl and not as
She
Barbara.
doesn't know how to play
When
it.
she has to
Yeah.
say, "Oh, come with me, Commissioner," or "Commissioner, why don't you go with that guy?" And you're like, "Just say Dad,
Right.
Dad, go with him." Wait, I mean, you're
Jim?
not my father.
That's laughing. Speaking of laughing, let's go to number 3.
The Laughing Fish. The Joker starts threatening the patent office staff when they refuse to patent his disfigured smiling fish. I love this episode. Personally, this is my favorite episode of the entire series. I remember seeing it as a kid in the early 90s. Like, I don't really remember too many from when I first saw it. I remember seeing it as a kid and being creeped out by, that cat scratching, Batman in the cowl turns out to be the patent officer guy,
That laugh.
that laugh,
Batman laugh.
and the way he looked
Yeah.
too, and his neck was like really like the animation style looked crazy, and then that cat laughing.
It's
with
like a deep, like howling laugh almost
Yeah.
with the fish in the mouth.
yeah. Oh man, it was really scary, and I just remember the fish. I always, and I've thought about it just randomly when I think about the Joker and Batman the Animated Series. My mind always goes to the laughing fish, and it's been that way for 20 years.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's been a long time.
But I love that episode so much, and it's so funny, and just the Joker trying to patent his face on
It's
fish,
his brand.
and then selling it in
Yeah.
that commercial that he does, and it's so funny.
know.
It's just classic
The
Joker.
Harley song, the da 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 da, and oh so delicious.
Yeah. It's Joker fish.
Yep.
Honey, what are we gonna eat for dinner?
Yeah, I remember this
with
episode.
him, with him as the Gordon Fisherman.
Yeah, he's
too.
got the slickers on. Yeah, that's-
Exactly.
It's
This
so
is my
funny.
favorite Joker episode too. And the showdown they have at the end at the rooftop, very, very good stuff.
yeah. I love it, and he pulls
Classic.
the floaty
Yeah.
out, and it just. Poof.
Great stuff.
I like there's a couple of quotes I like from this episode. The Harley as a mermaid when he just sticks the fish head
yeah.
on is really
Yeah.
funny.
Stuff.
And the Happy Meal. It's a Happy Meal.
about
Okay,
it.
fine. And then like earlier in the episode when someone says, "Great Scott," and he goes, "Actually, I'm Irish."
Right.
I
It's-
love it. There's some really good quippy like dialogue in this
Definitely.
episode.
It's funny, it's scary, it's very, very good.
It's very Joker.
Yes,
yeah.
definitely very Joker. Moving on to number 2.
Beware the Grey Ghost. A series of bombings reminiscent of a long-lost TV series occur, and the washed-up star of it may be connected. Adam West as Simon Trent, or the Grey Ghost. Obviously, I love this episode because Adam West is in it. What a
great.
great! I love when they use different voice actors throughout the series that kind of give little hints, like little nods towards other Batman stuff. And Adam West being in this episode as a Batman-esque character.
Yeah.
Mwah. So good. It's so good. I love that image of him trying to watch the old series, Bruce Wayne trying to watch the series with Alfred playing it on the projector, and it does this like shot where it spins around him and then he's young again.
Yeah, that is great.
That image of just him as like young Bruce Wayne is
With
so
Thomas
cool.
Wayne,
Right.
like
Right.
that was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Great.
That whole animation. Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic.
I think that might be one of my favorite parts of this episode. This is personally like my favorite episode of the series. It's just so well done. And there's a little thing at the end with the villain guy who's the toy shop owner. Well, like the
That's
pawn
Bruce Timm.
shop.
Yeah, Bruce Timm. Yeah, modeled after Bruce Timm.
And I love that he's talking about like toys and stuff though, because of all the Bruce Timm like
Right.
merchandise there is, that it's really cool to see him like giving a monologue about toys and the power of merchandise and stuff like that, and talking about toys can be used for good or for evil. They can carry bombs or they can inspire.
Yeah.
I really love that little monologue.
Yeah, I love this episode too. It's just amazing. And I love the Grey Ghost costume.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the theme is really good, too.
I know.
That theme is awesome.
And I can listen to that for
the
hours.
little cuts back and forth when you get to see the parallels of the Grey Ghost and the Batman.
Yeah.
It's just so well done.
And I love how, like, he was inspired by, the spirit and the shadow, and there's little drawbacks, or, like, little callbacks to that with, like, there's this one where he's kind of silhouetted, like, in the shadows or whatever, the Grey Ghost in, like, the poster or whatever.
Yeah.
And, just like the shadow. And it was like, oh, that's really good.
Yeah,
It's
all
season
good
1
stuff.
too, you guys. Like,
Yeah.
it's starting off so early on
Yeah.
the show.
I think there's
being
a
so good.
poster somewhere in the film, or somewhere in the episode, talking about Clayface. What's his first
the
name?
actor?
Yeah, the
Hagen,
actor.
Matt Hagen?
Matt Hagen. It said, Hagen, the actor, or the man of many faces, or something like
Oh, I
that.
didn't
There's a
notice
poster
I
for
didn't
that.
see
Didn't
that.
notice
That's
that.
amazing.
Yeah,
That's a
and
cool
it's a
little
nice little
Easter egg.
foreshadowing of
I
Clayface.
like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got to go on to number 1 here.
Number 1.
Number 1. Perchance to dream. After being knocked out in a mysterious warehouse, Batman wakes up in a world where his parents are alive, he is engaged to Selena Kyle, and someone else is Batman. Yes, this is our collective number 1, my personal number 1 as well. I love Perchance to Dream. I think it's a great example of why the Mad Hatter is a fantastic villain that needs a live-action interpretation.
Absolutely.
I understand that, the Johnny Depp thing with the Alice in Wonderland has kind of made him sort of unattractive now.
So you don't play him. You don't have him play him. Who would you
Of
have
course.
play Mad Hatter?
Who would I have?
Yeah.
I would have to think about it.
Who would you have play
Who
the
would you
Mad
have?
Hatter?
Yeah,
Tell us in the
definitely.
comments down below.
I think he's a freaking great villain, and it's because of this kind of stuff, like the mind control, sort of going in and changing everything. There's so many cool Easter eggs in this episode. When things are kind of starting to go a little weird, that's when you hear, like, very subtly the Mad Hatter theme is in there, and then it builds up and builds up and builds up until that clock tower or whatever, that church steeple thing at that graveyard. When Batman fights Batman, or Bruce Wayne fights Batman. It's just
Again, Bat versus
fantastic
Bat.
stuff.
Love it. Well,
Yes.
it's not as bad, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I love when he has to fight himself.
Yeah, man versus self. It's the
Yeah,
best kind of
it's-
stuff.
And then
It's
seeing
pretty
his
much
parents,
this.
and then having
His parents are alive.
Kevin
Oh.
Conroy voice his dad
Yeah.
was awesome. I think that worked really well.
I like, yeah, we've got an appointment too on the golf course. Yeah, great stuff.
But just seeing
just
his
him having his
parents,
parents.
is
Yeah,
I agree.
But there's that moment where he believes that it's real, where he
Yeah.
completely buys into it for a few minutes, and it's like, oh, this is Batman. This is Bruce if he would have just been a good-hearted, regular guy
Yeah.
if his parents didn't die in that horrible way. And they play the Batman theme, dun, 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 but it's very, like, majestic and happy, and it's so
Yeah.
weird, but I love it.
Yeah.
I love this episode so much.
When
and that's-
Batman has a little hope in his life, it's heartbreaking.
Yes, it
Like
is.
Mask of Phantasm, he like has a little bit where he's like, but I could be happy. There's like moments of that throughout Batman's career when you're like, oh, you can never be happy.
I know.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's very sad.
Yeah.
And the little line that Mad Hatter has with I would have given you any life just to stay out of
Yeah,
mine.
just
Yeah.
keep you out of line, yeah. And then at the end, the best quote from this
Absolutely.
episode, of course, is at the end, like, what if you're wrong? When he's about to jump off the tower and kill himself. And he says, then I'll see you in your nightmares. So good.
Yeah. But the fact
So
that
good.
it was originally supposed to be, then I'll see you in hell.
Right.
But they couldn't get it past the censors. Is even.
I almost like nightmares better.
Yeah.
I almost
well,
like...
Because he
wanna
has
hear- I would
nightmares
like to-
throughout the episode of being Batman, which is so cool that like in his dreams he has nightmares about Batman.
Yeah, I really like. I kind of like that. It's nightmares. It fits in with the dream episode and
Yeah.
everything better.
True.
I kind of like that.
But
better.
it's just still kind of cool to. I don't know. I wish we could, like, if there was like a deleted scene where they actually had that in there. You know what I mean?
Just have him read it. Next time you see Kevin Conroy, be like, hey, can you
can
say
you
this?
Yeah.
Someone
The
said
next time I just happened to see
He'll record
Kevin
it as your
Conroy.
voicemail.
Yeah.
I actually met him years ago, and I tried to get him to record my voicemail, and he said no.
Yeah, that's where I got this
Yeah.
signed. Was in
Yeah.
that same line with him. So it's good
And I
stuff.
was just like, damn it, that would have been so cool.
I know. Okay, well, those are our top 10 episodes. Those are collective. We all three looked over these and picked collectively what we thought was the top 10. Our actual top 10 individual lists are a little bit different, so maybe we'll tell you those at a later date. A couple honorable mentions we'll talk about here. Just really quickly, I'll just mention them. POV was one of yours, Harley and Ivy.
Love Harley and Ivy and anything together because they ship forever.
Zatanna,
Love
Baby Doll. Mine, Page and the Crime Doctor, love it. Robin's Reckoning, the origin of Robin,
I love that
fantastic.
one too.
Yeah.
I Am the Knight, Batman kind of gives up being Batman for a bit, that's fantastic.
Yep.
It's Never Too Late is a great story. It's barely about Batman. Batman's like a guardian angel in this, just freaking great. And Almost Got Him, which is
I love
Doug's
the
#1 episode.
Opening of that is so amazing with just the hands. Like with such a strong character design, you can literally recognize everyone's hands.
Right.
Like during the poker game, and then at the end, the reveal of Batman with the swinging of the light with Killer Croc. That episode to me is just so visually. You can just visualize everything in that episode. It's amazing.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, go on to the picks of the week. I got a couple for you here. So we talked about Mad Love already. You know, read this if you like the episode. It's a great expansion on that. It came out before the episode. Also, I brought Batman Black and White, Volume 1 and 2. Volume 1 has a story from Bruce Timm in it that's really cool. It's a Two-Face story, really fun. And Volume 2 has a Paul Dini story in it, which is, I've talked at length about Paul Dini on the show. It's a great writer for Batman Animated Series. So if you like him, you'll like his story in here. And there's a bunch of different stories, like little stories in Batman Black and White. Go check out that line. It's really cool. Also, I have a book that I forgot to bring, but it's really cool. It's called
Yes.
Batman Animated. It's this big book that they came out, I think, at the end of the 90s, that talks about the entire series. It gives little tidbits about things, like original animation cells are in there and stuff, and it's really fun. Go check that out. It's a picture of it that's up right now. I hope you're checking it out. It's a great book, and if you're a fan of the show, get that book. It's really old, but you could find it somewhere online on Amazon or something. It is a great book for a big Batman the Animated Series fan, so go ahead and check that out. Okay, what do you guys want to see us do a top 10 episode of next? Just leave some comments and let us know. There's a lot of animated shows that I would love to talk about at length more and pick 10 episodes out with these guys, so go on and ask us about that. Okay, so social media for everybody. Where can we find you?
Facebook.com/awesomeporter.
That's great. That's a Facebook website, and that has Awesome Porter at the end. You.
Facebook at Ayana Wade or Twitter. And then I also just got a Snapchat, a fan Snapchat. A lot of you know it's Awesome Ayana. So
Yeah,
I put
it's a
stuff
blanket term now.
these guys, yeah, because we're awesome. And we had a lot of behind the scenes at Six Flags and us on the rides and stuff on that. So yeah, come check out my story. It's just these guys. So
You can follow me on Twitter at awesome_Walter. Ask me about this, about the top 5 show I do. If you guys want to suggest stuff for that, go ahead and talk to me on there. I love talking to you guys about all
And
that.
you can always get at us on our Awesome Comics Show Facebook page.
as always.
Facebook.com/Awesome Comics Show. We're always on there, so if you want to talk to us, we'll be on there. Okay, so until next week, what's your name one more time?
Brian Porter.
What's your name one more time?
Oh, Ayana Wade.
And I'm Walter Benasiak. And until next week, we'll see you on the next page.